You drive 10 miles a day, but your EV battery is aging like it's doing marathon laps. Why? Because how you charge matters more when your car sits most of the time. If you're a low mileage driver, short commutes, long periods parked, charging advice for road trippers doesn't cut it. In this video, we'll use dynamic stress test charts to show exactly how state of charge, temperature, and charging type trade off between convenience and long term battery health. I'll show clear numbers, real studies, and step-by-step rules you can use tonight. What percent to charge to, when to top up, and when to avoid fast chargers. Stick with me and you'll stop giving away useful battery life without even noticing. Hello everyone, I'm Shayan, an engineer specialized in electric vehicle development. The basic physics in plain language. Batteries age two ways: calendar aging when the car sits, and cyclic aging when your car charges. Low mileage drivers gets more calendar aging because the battery spends more time sitting at whatever state of charge you live in. But that's only part of the story. The rate of calendar aging is a function of both state of charge and temperature. Higher state of charge and higher temperature accelerate the chemistry that slowly eats away capacity. Studies and data sets from labs and agencies confirms this. Calendar aging grows quickly above 50 to 60% state of charge at elevated temperatures. The dynamic chart stress test. We ran dynamic stress tests that map capacity loss to three variables: time at state of charge, number of fast chargers, and average pack temperatures. Picture a heat map. The x-axis is state of charge, the y-axis is the temperature, and the color shows percentage capacity loss per year. The chart screams two factors: at 25 to 40 degrees Celsius and 80 to 100% state of charge. The annual capacity loss is several times higher than at 20 to 40% state of charge. But at the low temperatures, calendar loss drops and cycle damage from fast charging becomes relatively more important. In short, where you park and how full you leave the pack explain most of your slow decline. Here are the useful, actionable numbers based on the lab datasets and real-world studies. Typical modern EVs see roughly 1 to 2% capacity loss per year under normal mixed use. But that's an average. Recurrent and large fleet analysis placed the mean near 1.5% per year. But low mileage drivers who habitually keep their pack at high state of charge in hot climates can see markedly higher calendar loss, easily 3 to 5% in a year under extreme storage conditions. Dynamic stress tests show that storing at 100% state of charge at 40 degrees Celsius can accelerate capacity loss by an order of magnitude compared to storing it at 40 to 50% state of charge at 20 to 25 degrees centigrade. In other words, the tiny convenience of topping to 100% nightly can cost your real battery life when the car is mostly seated. Frequent high-power fast charging increases cycle aging, but its absolute impact for low mileage drivers who rarely fast charge is small compared with calendar aging. Lab and field studies show that repeated over 80% fast charges matter most when you do them a lot. If you charge slowly at home most of the time, you have already won most of the battle. You want a charged car every morning, but charging to 100% overnight is the easy habit that costs you later. Most owner manuals give a blanket charge to 80% for daily use rule, but they don't explain the nonce. A low mileage driver who charges to 80% and leaves the car sitting for weeks is still exposing the pack to calendar aging, especially in warm climates. So the challenge is balancing readiness for rare long trips with minimizing time spent parked at the high state of charge and high temperatures. That trade-off is what the charts make painfully obvious. Rule 1. Set a conservative daily charge target, but adapt it. Charge targets matter, but the right number depends on your pattern. If you drive very little and leave the car parked most of the day, set your daily charge limit to 50 to 60%. That keeps the pack in the low stress zone and reduce calendar aging. But don't be rigid. When you plan a long trip, temporarily raise the limit to 80 to 90% a few hours before departure. If you prefer less fuss and still want some reserve, 60 to 70% is a great compromise. It gives enough range for most short commutes while keeping time at the high state of charge smaller. Studies show moving average state of charge from 60 to 85% can multiply calendar stress noticeably. So small percent changes matter more than you think. But here's the twist. Battery temperature changes those numbers. Rule 2. Let temperature drive the adjustments. Temperature multiplies stress. If you park in hot weather or an unshaded driveway where ambient temperature hits 30 to 40 degrees centigrade, drop your default state of charge target by 10 percent points, from 60% to 50%, for instance. The single tweak cuts calendar stress substantially in dynamic stress tests. If you have garage parking at moderate temperatures like 15 to 25 degrees centigrade, you can safely run 60 to 80% without the same penalty. The key is the combination of state of charge and temperature, not either one alone. Rule 3. Prefer slow charging but plan the occasional fast charge. Slow charging like level 2 and level 1 is easy on cells. For low mileage drivers, it should be the default. Use level 2 overnight schedule to top to your target state of charge close to departure time. That minimizes the time the pack spends at the elevated state of charge. That tactic reduces calendar aging because the battery doesn't sit at high voltage for hours. NRL and practical guides recommend scheduling finishes to coincide with planned use. Avoid daily DC fast charging, but don't fear occasional fast charging. For low mileage drivers, the occasional fast top-up contribute little to overall degradation compared with calendar stress unless you do it constantly. Recurrent and lab data both support this. Frequency matters far more than in isolation. Rule 4. Use storage mode and battery protection features. Many EVs offer long-term storage modes or battery protection settings. If you know the car will sit for weeks, set it to the manufacturer's storage setting, often 50% state of charge. That reduces chemical stress and is the single best anti-aging move for long idle periods. If your car lacks the feature, manually charge to 50% and unplug. Enable scheduled charging to finish right before you drive. That keeps the pack out of the high voltage state while sitting. These small timing tricks show up strongly in stress charts. Same energy in the pack, but much less time at high voltage equals slower calendar aging. Visualizing dynamic stress charts, a simple walkthrough. We have different dynamic charts. Chart A shows annual percent capacity loss versus state of charge and temperature. You'll see the red zone explode above 80% state of charge and 35 degrees centigrade. That's calendar pain. The next chart compares annual loss from three behaviors. Always 100% overnight in hot garage, 80% schedule finish at 7 a.m. and 50% storage. The bars tell the real cost in percent capacity per year. The 100% hot cases is several times worse. Next chart shows cumulative degradation over 5 years for three strategies: aggressive fast charging, conservative slow charging, and conservative plus storage. The conservative plus storage line stays far above the others. That's your wallet speaking. These charts aren't theoretical. They reflect lab datasets and industry-filled data. Use them as a decision map. The single best habit that beats complex hacks. Schedule your charging to finish close to when you need the car. And don't keep the pack at 100% or in hot conditions for long. That one habit, schedule finish plus conservative state of charge, reduces calendar aging more than avoiding fast charging or obsessing over minor regenerative braking settings. In dynamic stress tests, this combination moved annual calendar loss from a damaging zone into a benign one for typical climates. If you follow only one rule, schedule and avoid extended high state of charge at high temperatures. Quick actionable checklist. Set daily charge limit to 50 to 70% depending on your range needs, lower in hot climates. Use scheduled charging to finish just before you drive. That minimizes time at high state of charge. Park cool or in a garage where possible. If not, keep state of charge lower. Avoid daily DC fast charging, use it only when needed. Occasional fast charging is fine. Use storage mode for long inactivity and check 12-volt health before long storage. Track trends, check range and use the battery health tool periodically. If you see unexpected loss, contact service early. But remember, EV batteries are resilient. Modern packs tend to lose only about 1 to 2% per year with typical care. And by applying the low mileage rules above, you can keep degradation at the low end of that range. The charts we used show the steep gains from small habit changes, Think of them as insurance for years of trouble-free driving.